What if the truth you've been keeping under wraps for years was finally its time, and no one could stop it? Christine Brown's memoir could be the twist the Sister Wives saga never expected. A deleted chapter, a six-figure blow-up, an inner strength Cody never anticipated. It's raw, emotional, and uncomfortably real. You won't believe what almost got buried and what's yet to come. Watch now and find out why this chapter has everyone abuzz. You know, in retrospect, it was never about what the family required. It was always about what he wanted. The hair, the clothes, the immaculate front lawn for the whole neighborhood to peer at. Cody was more concerned with appearances than anything. And that desire to be put together? It didn't end at his own persona. It spread to those around him, particularly Christine. That attitude may have served her for a while, but now it's coming apart, fast. This week, tension boiled over behind closed doors during an off-the-record publisher meeting. Sources tell us Cody Brown stormed onto an uninvited virtual call, yes, uninvited, accompanied by legal representation, brandishing old documents and insisting Christine remove an entire chapter from her soon-to-be-released memoir. And not just any chapter. As reported by insiders, this page goes into a very explosive evening, one in which Cody reportedly yelled about loyalty, domination, and a secret $100,000 he claimed the wives had to pay. Immediately, Christine didn't directly call him out on the call, but when Cody charged her with character assassination, she didn't flinch. She sat there, serene and unfazed, and told him, "My truth stays." Her husband David, he was there too, allegedly pushing a neat, color-coded binder onto the table. Fans think it contained receipts, timelines, and chapter notes, just sitting there, just in case Cody's camp came knocking. This chapter appears not to be about ego, it appears to be about money, actual money, the kind wrapped up in family finances, trust, and what Christine has begun referring to as her silence tax. Because when she confronted Cody over that six-figure emergency, it didn't get heated. It went nuclear. Gallery Books, the publisher, isn't speaking out publicly, but murmurs from those in the room report that no one was shocked by Christine's steadfast calm. After all, this entire memoir is about being free. Why would she quit now? And just when things had calmed down, another Instagram account appeared, posting a mysterious quote. He offered the money an act of loyalty. I offered to call it the price of my silence. No names, no context. But that wasn't necessary. Fans already knew. That post made Christine's book a public admonishment and not just a personal memoir. And ironically, by attempting to silence her, Cody might have ensured that chapter is the most spoken of one of all. Back when Christine had packed up her life and had moved to Utah with her daughter Truly, she was seeking peace. A new beginning with her new boyfriend David, and a future without the craziness. What she had not anticipated was Cody coming along with a six-figure proposal and a hothead. He said it was a family duty, a gap in the joint finances that had to be filled. But Christine refused to budge. She told him straight out. His bad planning wasn't something for her to assume. And that's when everything imploded. Sources say what ensued was a screaming argument so fierce, it seared itself straight into the pages of her book. That scene, raw, emotional, and infused with years of anger, is said to be at the center of the book's most incendiary chapter now. The twist? None of this may have hit the headlines if Cody hadn't attempted to shut her up. His intimidation with lawsuits, the effort to protect the children, even that out-of-the-blue publisher intervention, these only fueled more suspicions. Fans began to dig. And what they discovered? Well, it makes Cody's hysteria more believable. See, at roughly the same time as this tirade, Christine had filed for current custody and support for Truly. Retroactive support, in fact. One aspect even suggests a petition to formally determine paternity. That's not merely family soap opera. That's possible legal repercussions. And Cody did know that. But Christine's people had anticipated that. That book, said to be entitled When the Mask Slipped, had been thoroughly analyzed by lawyers even before it made its way to the publisher's office. They weren't spouting rumors. They had timelines, messages, documents, receipts. So when Cody attempted to suppress it, he didn't suppress the story, he gave it bite. Now, whispers say the chapter may link this entire meltdown to a very specific past bank transfer. One that points to Robyn's household. And suddenly, This isn't just about memoirs or memory, it's about money, real money, and control. Remember back in season 17, right after Christine said she was leaving? Cody looked into the camera and said the word that still makes people cringe: obedience. He told her, "I'm the boss of this house, and I want it to be so again." Well, this chapter may well demonstrate how far he was prepared to go to regain that control. To others, it seemed like treason. But Christine? She referred to it as freedom. In her new memoir, Christine doesn't merely go back over the battle over finances. She burrows deep into what that money really meant. Years of emotional inequality, manipulation, and unspoken sacrifice. It wasn't about a figure. It was about all she'd sacrificed and what she ultimately regained. And what about Cody? Oh, he didn't let it slide. His greatest fear, as he told the cameras, wasn't losing Truly's access. Possibly, it was losing money on the deal. That Christine's new life, new love, and state of Utah would cost him dollars. You take Truly and go to Utah. A greedy boyfriend, a user, he rattled off, visibly agitated. But the moment said more about his fears than it did about Christine's reality. If this book makes it through Cody's legal heat, it has the potential to shake not just the fan base, but even TLC's image of the family. Because for the first time, this isn't reality TV. It's Christine's unvarnished, unadulterated truth. No edit, no manipulative cut, just her voice, alone. And behind the voice, proof. It was all tracked by Christine in the months leading up to her departure. Screenshots, Venmo receipts, handwritten expense reports. She needed transparency. She needed to understand where the money was being spent. And what she discovered left her stunned. A red flag transaction marked emergency family expense, one she had never authorized. The total? $100,000. Even more shocking, that money apparently came from the Old Family LLC, an account Cody held, particularly after Christine left home. With no voice in how the money was spent, she found it was being spent not on shared family expenses, but on expenses directly related to Robyn's home. Christine questioned him, and his response? Just trust me. That was when it all fell into place. Christine knew she was continuing to pay for a life she was no longer living, and that's when she grabbed a pen. First in a notebook, then on a digital timeline, bit by bit. That timeline became the backbone of the book. And now, Cody's trying to put a stop to it. Legal experts say, short of Cody being able to prove Christine breached a contract or outright lied, not much can be done. However, he might try to gag the chapter by linking it to their continuing custody and support fight. Because here's the reality. If Christine can establish that money directly affected her and Truly's life, then this tale is not only about broken trust, it's about how power, money, and parenting all intersected. And for Truly, maybe this is the start of something new as well. It appears that Christine's daughter Truly is soon to be dragged into the limelight, and not necessarily for the reasons that her father, Cody, may have wished. For years, Truly has been insulated from the mayhem of the Brown family. Christine did her best to provide her youngest with a sense of normalcy, particularly after the split. But that protective bubble is beginning to thin. Since the day that Christine petitioned for retroactive child support and formal paternity back in late 2024, things have begun to change. Cody's awkwardness is becoming more apparent. Sources claim he's uncomfortable now that court proceedings are beginning to more accurately reflect upon his absence than anything else. Then there was the photo. It seemed innocent enough at first. Just a sunny Instagram snapshot from Big Rock Candy Mountain. Christine posted a sweet roadside moment. Snacks, smiles, and family. Truly stood beside her mom and stepdad David, glowing with that quiet kind of confidence that comes from being safe and loved. But fans saw more than just a family outing. They saw something deeper. God, she's so confident, so loved, one of the followers posted. You can sense the serenity in her face. Another said, she's flowered with you and David. Christine's caption was light and breezy. Give me a silly roadside stop, good snacks, and my people, and I'm all in. But those simple words hit like a soft declaration. Life doesn't have to revolve around legal battles to feel whole. And truly, just being there said everything. That one post stirred something online. Quietly, subtly, but powerfully. And Cody noticed. In secret, they say he's now trying to have court papers sealed. afraid that Christine's memoir, particularly any section that includes Truly, could influence public opinion, or worse, legal proceedings. But what he might not have anticipated is that Christine's lawyers have been getting ready for this day for months. All of Truly's reference in the book was treated sensitively. No mudslinging, no finger pointing, just Christine's reality, observed by a mother's love. Taking those sections out, insiders assert, would eliminate the complete picture, particularly if that $100,000 fiscal debate correlates with why Cody wasn't there. And although the memoir is already set in its September publication, something else has apparently been transpiring behind closed doors. Rumors emanating from Flagstaff are that Cody quietly offered something, a back-channel agreement intended to prevent that explosive chapter from ever being made public. Some familiar with the case indicate he offered a settlement, conditionally attached to a donation to Truly's college fund. But there were strings, of course. The supposed offer came with a revision clause, and maybe even a non-disclosure agreement. Should Christine accept, it might mean she'd never be permitted to comment publicly about some financial issues ever again, including that notorious $100,000 request. It was presented in words that seemed kind, but it wasn't a gesture. It was coercion, a desperate effort to dictate terms. But Christine didn't take the bait. Her friends tell us that she read the email, stopped, and replied with only 3 words, "My truth stays." On the same day, she shared a happy video, dancing in the kitchen with David making pancakes. To the average person, it was simply another post to make them smile. But to everyone tracking the story, it felt like something else. Not revenge, not defiance, just peace. And a whispered warning, some things are worth standing up for. This book, it's not rumor. It's not rumor. It's simply Christine's reality, lived exactly as she lived it. And with the publication date looming this fall, the backstage pressure is building. Cody's desperate attempt to bury that $100,000 chapter failed. So now the question is, what's he going to do next? And more importantly, what if Christine opts to release a second clip prior to the book officially hitting shelves? That's the aspect that has fans, and perhaps even Cody, on edge. Rumors within Gallery Books indicate Christine's team is seriously considering it. A second preview, not only to create hype, but as a smart reaction. Their rationale? If legal threats continue to roll in, it's preferable to give a glimpse of the truth now, when they can still control the narrative. And this new excerpt, early sources indicate, may pack an even greater punch than the first. But this time, it's not the fight, not the money, not the yelling. It's about the moment of silence that followed, the one in which Christine finally understood that she did not have to live in fear anymore. "I ceased trying to repair something that I didn't damage," she allegedly writes. "I ceased to bear shame that wasn't my own." People who have read early versions say that the tone changes here. It's gentler, it's deeper, it's contemplative, and that's what gives it strength. This is more than a tell-all. It's the journey of a woman who gave up everything to a belief system she believed was holy, who built children, kept a family together, and just continued to show up, until one day she knew she had to choose herself. It's that type of honesty. Honesty that's quiet but unshakable, that's already resonating. Pre-orders are surging, with no glitzy promo or media blitz. Simply Christine, her authenticity, and a group of women who recognize themselves in her story. And although she's not dropping bombshell news, the statement is clear as day. Her Instagram reels tell it all. Grinning with David, laughing with Truly, posing in front of offbeat roadside signs that seem like allegories for the journey she's on now. One follower wrote, "She's not just surviving, she's blooming." Another said, "You can see in her eyes, she's not scared of him anymore." And if these excerpts keep coming, fans may not need to wait until September to read the chapter Cody's so desperate to hide. Because according to a well-placed insider, the most powerful chapter hasn't even been revealed yet. They're calling it The Reckoning, not an afterthought or neat ending. This is the chapter Christine appended to the book once it was complete. A postscript, really. Something she felt in her heart she could not omit. Sources call it raw, emotional, and extremely personal. It starts with Christine by herself, late at night, sitting on the floor in her Utah home, with a letter she had written but not sent. A letter to Cody, not to fight or blame, but to release. "You don't owe me respect," she supposedly writes, "but you owe our daughter peace." And the truth is part of that. People who have read it tell me that it's the heart of the memoir, the point at which it all comes full circle. Christine did not make up her mind easily. She kept her head down, kept her mouth shut, for a very long time. But now, she's telling. And what's funny is that decision, it may be the very thing that makes her memoir more than just a casual behind-the-scenes look. This isn't about vengeance. It's about taking back her voice, her space, for herself, for her daughters, and for every woman who's ever been instructed to just keep the peace. The publication date is no accident either. September is 4 years to the day that Christine formally broke up with Cody. What began as a quiet, sob-filled goodbye in a deserted driveway is now a public showdown published in hardcover. And fans, they're more than primed. Just scroll through the comments under her latest post and you'll see, "Can't wait to read your truth. This is the book we've all been waiting for." And simply, thank you for not backing down. Still, Cody's not finished. Word is he's fighting back strongly, threatening to halt production if TLC promotes Christine's book or allows her to discuss it on the show. One producer was quoted as saying his threats were a losing battle because whether he knows it or not, the dynamic has changed. Christine finally possesses something Cody does not: unfiltered access to the audience. No producers to cut her words, no network censors, just her, simply and honestly talking. That's a type of power Cody never anticipated. And the ripple effects are beginning to find their way into the rest of the Sister Wives universe. Behind the scenes at TLC, the producers are frantic. Season 20 is already filming, but now they're supposedly re-editing entire scenes in response to the backlash over Christine's memoir. One insider referred to the book as the elephant in every scene. And Cody? He's supposedly threatening to quit if it's even brought up. But let's be real. Christine isn't desperate for FaceTime. She doesn't require it. Janelle's already shown quiet support with a subtle like on Instagram. Even Meri's hinted that she may one day write her own book, though she says it'll come from a place of healing, not pain. As for Robyn, silence. Her social media has gone quiet, and insiders say she's tightened her circle. Some say it's loyalty, others say it's fear, because if Christine's narrative keeps growing in popularity, Robyn's longtime status as Cody's best wife could be subject to a new level of scrutiny, particularly if those leaked financial records indicate money going into her home and others doing without. And this is the spin producers weren't anticipating. Fans don't care about spin anymore. They want answers. They want truth. They want accountability. That's why in private, TLC is said to be mulling over a new concept, a Christine spinoff, one that would track her life after Cody, with David, Truly, and possibly even some of the Brown older kids in tow. Nothing's official yet, but if it comes to pass, it could alter everything. Cody's hold on the Sister Wives dynasty could at last begin to slip. But even while the network considers its options, it's obvious. Christine has won the court of public opinion already. And just as things had seemed like they might quiet down, something not quite expected turned the story on its side. One picture, no press release, no tabloid leak. Just one shot, posted by Christine, that had followers squinting, zooming, whispering, "Is that who we think it is?" Christine's been pushing ahead, not with a megaphone, but with soft, persistent dignity. And she recently posted something that resonated deeply.